Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another Payday 3 news update. This time it's dev blog number 4, something with a lot more substance than last week, so normalcy has resumed, because today we are talking about Fortitude and Adrenaline. Now I covered some of this in yesterday's video, talking about the stream notes from Elizabeth and Mio's live stream on Payday's channels. I did say I'd wait to break down Fortitude until this video, and lo and behold, we'll get to it in a minute, there is a full breakdown of that perk deck, or skill line I should say, sorry, even though they're very similar, as well as some other bits of news. We're going to scroll over it and I'll offer my thoughts on everything in the dev blog. So let's get into it. So let's start off with Adrenaline, which was previously mentioned as Overheal, and that's the name that was used internally that I've mentioned in previous videos, but they've changed the name to better reflect some of the changes they've made to it in the meantime. Adrenaline is temporary health that you get whenever you heal above maximum health with a medic bag or a first aid kit, and your Adrenaline is always equal, the maximum you can get, to whatever your maximum health is. So if you have 100 health, which is the standard health, you can also get up to 100 Adrenaline on top of it, and with the new Fortitude skill line we'll get to in a minute, you can increase both of those by quite a bit. Adrenaline is on the topmost layer of your defenses, so if you take damage, you'll first lose Adrenaline, and then your armor, and then your health. But it does note that cloakers and gas grenades, as well as zapper damage, will take Adrenaline damage and then straight to health. They still bypass armor, that's not changing, but it does still give you a bit of extra resistance against cloakers, naders, and zappers. But it does also say that this health decays at a rate of 1 point per 2 seconds, so you lose 1 point of Adrenaline. But it does say that if you take damage, the decay will be paused for 6, so there is a bit of a trade-off there if you take damage. As mentioned previously, medic bags and first aid kits will give you Adrenaline if you heal with them above max health. Medic bags give you Adrenaline at a 1-to-1 rate, so gaining 20 health above maximum will give you 20 Adrenaline, whereas first aid kits will give you Adrenaline at half the rate, so you gain 10 Adrenaline where it would have been 20 health, so worth bearing that in mind. There's some gifs here of the drops now being fixed. They don't mention it in this blog, but you can see now when you trade a hostage, you get several drops stacked on top of each other if you have any skills that increase the number of drops you get per hostage trade. Same thing for health as for armor, and you can see also the health being gained here, and that increasing your Adrenaline bar. Adrenaline is green, base health is still white, and adaptive armor is purple. So in this GIF, adaptive armor has been equipped. But here's the Fortitude perk deck. With the introduction of this new mechanic, we also have the new Fortitude skill line. I just called it a perk deck again, whatever. So let's take a look at the current skills. So first off, at base, your maximum health is increased by 50. And whenever you heal 2 or above maximum health, you gain or refresh grit. So it's important to note that every time your health increases, bear in mind you also increase your Adrenaline, which means overall you'd have 300 combined health and Adrenaline if you had max Adrenaline, which is triple the base health. So that's pretty interesting just at the base level of this perk deck. How many times am I going to call it perk deck? I'm going to keep catching myself up on it. I'm going to leave it in the video because I think it's purely funny that I keep getting them confused, but whatever. Acing it, your maximum number of downs is increased by 1, your bleed out time is increased by 50%, so that's a recycled skill from Payday 2. You might recognize it. Stockpile Mastery, if you have a deployable bag in your loadout, it has 2 additional charges. So these 2 charges are added before Deep Pockets. So Deep Pockets would give you up to 6 charges per bag. Basically, this will be applied. The most you can get per bag now is 8 charges. That's how it will work. So another really good skill to have, but that's your mastery at the tail end. So here are the 5 skills in the middle of the line. First off, Health Siphon. Whenever a crewmate heals using your medic bag, you heal for 40% of the amount they healed. And if this heals you above full health, the excess amount will be added as Adrenaline. Next up, we then have Unyielding, which increases your maximum health by 15 for each down you currently have. Now, this further plays into the idea that Mio was talking about yesterday, where this tries to shift the armor meta. They want to put more focus on health-based builds, and so if you have weaker armor, you'll have more health as a result if you go for this Fortitude style build, which I do really like. It gives you a bit more options to your playstyle, something this game is sorely lacking at the minute. But following on from that, we have Super Physiological. Whenever you have Adrenaline, you gain 10% additional Adrenaline for each down you currently have. The wording of that isn't perfect, but I'm guessing that that means that when you gain Adrenaline, you're getting 10% more than what you would have originally based on having 1 down, 20% for 2 downs, and so on and so forth. And again, you have more downs if you have less armor. So again, it's playing into this less armor, more health style. I do really like it. You can make it obviously work with full armor and full overheal, and I'd be interested to try and work out what ends up being the better playstyle if you do get better defense overall for full armor and still the overheal. It'll be interesting to test that out and see properly how that all ends up working out. But next up, Walking Tall. Your Adrenaline degrades 25% slower for each down you currently have. And if you have any amount of Adrenaline, you can use first aid kits to pause the degradation for 10 seconds. That's a really powerful skill as well, especially if you have a lot of first aid kits handy from trading hostages. You can effectively stop your degradation for quite a long period of time if you play your cards right and play carefully. But finally, we have Pain Asymbolia. Asymbolia? I don't know how you say that. As long as you have Adrenaline, an Edge, Grit, or Rush, the effects of these buffs are doubled and you take 10% less damage to your Adrenaline. Now this is going to be very interesting because Edge, Grit, and Rush are the 3 buffs that really improve your gameplay across the board. They are what make you more powerful and also tie into a lot of the other skills in the game. So doubling their effects is a very interesting one to put behind this skill. I think that'll be a skill that most people get regardless of their builds, and again, with us having 28 skill points now in this next update, which we'll get to in a moment, it'll mean that probably some people will invest those points into at least getting that skill regardless of build. I'll be intrigued to see how builds end up looking as a result. As you can tell, Fortitude is all about capitalizing on that adrenaline, and it also scales the number of downs you have, so lighter armor will benefit most from it, but in addition to this, double dipping into the medic line will also help you maximize your medic bag uses. As well as having the stockpile combining with medic bag, combining with deep pockets, you can get a really good health build going on here, and I'll be very intrigued to try one out when the time comes. You can see here, the medic bags only originally had 6 slots for kits, so your first 2 you're going to take will probably not show any visual results. I think that could do with being updated, so you could see the 8 in the bag. I mean, in the armor bag, there were 8 slots. I said this yesterday, so I think that could do with a visual change, personally, and I'd like to see them do that at some point. But either way, since this new line makes adrenaline a heavy skill investment, they're also using this update to raise the maximum number of skill points from 21 to 28, but the final skill point level is still at level 100. And as you can see here, there is a big table. I'm going to zoom out ever so slightly, just so you can see it all on the screen. Blimey, how far do I have to zoom out to get this to fit? There you are. So you can see how many points you'll have at each respective level now. So you start the game with 2 points now rather than 1, but still 100 is all you need to get all the skill points. So now, the 21 that we had for getting to level 100 is unlocked by the time you're at level 70. So there's a bit of a shift there in how the points are unlocked. Feel free to pause and look at any more detail if you want to, but I'm zooming back in and scrolling back down to here. Now, one difference from our previous announcement that keen eye players might spot is the final upgrade. As long as you have Adrenaline and Edge Grit or Rush, the effects of these buffs will be doubled. Yes, we've seen this. This skill originally only gave you a 50% damage reduction if you had Adrenaline and any buff, but they decided to change it as during testing it played too similarly to armor. Fair enough. This way, if you still want to have armor level defenses, the base 10% damage reduction and 20% from having Enhanced Grit will give you 30%, which is 5% better than regular armor. But you can also play more aggressively with Edge and Rush getting enhanced. Please let us know what you think of these additions to the game, both before and after they go live. We hope you find health-focused builds more viable now and a decent alternative to armor. I will say, in theory, they definitely will be. I'm going to be very intrigued to see an execution if it plays out the same way, because there's some very good stuff, especially in that Fortitude skill line. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how that plays out in execution. But ladies and gentlemen, that is everything in Devblog 4 for Payday 3. There's nothing else to be read out here. The only thing now, after reading all the stuff in the update, is for the actual update to drop. And as I've said in yesterday's video, we don't know quite when it'll be, but it should be within the next couple of weeks, because Elizabeth did confirm on yesterday's stream that they are in the process of making their next dev update video, which are the actual video things that go up on their YouTube channel that talk about the update in even more detail. I'm not sure what else they could say beyond what they've said in the recent weeks, but either way, that tends to go up about a week before the update drops. So whenever we see the dev update or word on it, that'll give us a bit of a signal as to when the actual update will come out. So we just have to wait and see as to when that's going to happen. As soon as it does, you know what I'll do. I'll make a video, either react to it or break it down, one or the other, but I'll do some kind of analysis video for that. So unless we see that within the next week, I'll be back next Friday with the next dev block breakdown for blog number 5. Hopefully it's as good as this, but I don't know what else they're going to talk about before the next update. But I'm also cooking some other stuff, and I'm hoping, I keep saying that, but I have got a Payday video essay that I'm hoping to get out before next Friday. So hold me to it. Maybe I'll make it happen. Fingers crossed. I'll try my best. But either way, thank you all very much for watching. I will see you all very soon with some more Payday content and some other non-Payday content that will be coming down the line. As I said, I'm cooking some stuff up, but I'll see you all very soon. Much love. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to stay in tune with more Payday news. And until the next video, I'll see you all soon. Much love. Have a good weekend.